The enormous crystalline dome of the Galactic Council headquarters sparkled like a diamond against the backdrop of swirling nebula clouds. Ambassador Kim stepped off the teleportation pad, her heart pounding beneath her formal Earth uniform. The blue and gold insignia of humanity, a simple outline of Earth with an olive branch, seemed humble compared to the elaborate crests adorning the other representatives. "Remember, Apollo, best behavior," Kim whispered, adjusting the special diplomatic collar on her golden retriever. The dog's warm brown eyes looked up at her intelligently, his tail wagging slightly but maintaining the dignified posture he'd been trained for. Apollo wasn't just any dog. He was a 15th-generation diplomatic companion, enhanced with subtle neural implants that allowed him to understand complex commands and sense emotional states across most sentient species. The daisy, massive doors to the council chamber hissed open. Kim took a deep breath and strode forward, Apollo padding softly at her heel. The chamber fell silent as they entered, hundreds of alien eyes turning to observe the newcomers. "The representative of Earth may approach the central podium," announced. The council speaker, a tall willowy being with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Kim nodded respectfully and began walking down the long, transparent pathway. The chamber was arranged in concentric circles, with representatives from over 200 worlds seated according to their species' tenure in the galactic community. Earth, being the newest admission, was positioned in the outermost ring. A low murmur rippled through the assembly as Apollo followed Kim. The dog's golden fur caught the light from the artificial suns hanging in the chamber's vast ceiling. "Speaker tall honorable representatives," Kim began, her voice steady despite her nervousness. "I bring greetings from Earth and—" "What is that creature doing in these hallowed chambers?" The harsh voice cut through her introduction. The speaker was a representative from the Varick Confederacy, an ancient species of arthropod-like beings known for their rigid adherence to protocol. "This is Apollo, my diplomatic companion," Kim explained calmly. The Varick representative's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. "We were told humans would respect our customs. Bringing a non-sentient beast into the council chamber is unprecedented." Apollo sat perfectly still beside Kim, though she could sense his heightened awareness. The neural link between them conveyed his slight anxiety, but also his determination to fulfill his duty. "With respect, Representative Krez," Kim replied. "Apollo is not merely a beast. Dogs have been companions to humans for over 15,000 years. They have evolved alongside us, shaped our development as a species, and become integral to our culture and emotional well-being." A representative from the Medusan Alliance, beings of living energy contained in specialized suits, floated forward. "Our records indicate these dogs were originally hunting animals, bred for aggression and killing. Is this not correct, Ambassador?" Hempai nodded. "Originally, yes, but our relationship evolved far beyond that. Dogs became protectors, healers, guides for the disabled, and emotional support for the troubled. The bond between humans and dogs represents one of the first interspecies partnerships on our world, a partnership based on mutual benefit and, yes, love." The chamber erupted in multiple conversations, some conducted in frequencies humans couldn't even perceive. The concept seemed to disturb many of the representatives, love for a lesser being. The Varick representative's translator struggled to convey the mixture of disgust and confusion in his tone. Apollo chose that moment to demonstrate his training. Sensing the tension in the room, he calmly rose and approached the central data pedestal. With gentle movements, he pressed his nose to the surface, activating the holographic interface. Years of training allowed him to trigger a specific presentation. Images from Earth's history flickered into existence above the council floor, dogs guiding blind humans through busy streets, search and rescue dogs pulling survivors from earthquake, rubble, therapy dogs comforting children in hospitals, ancient cave paintings showing humans hunting alongside their canine partners. Each image spoke to the deep connection between the species. "Remarkable," murmured a representative from the Solarian Collective, a species known for their appreciation of symbiotic relationships. The animal appears to understand its role. Apollo understands more than most would give him credit for. Kim explained, feeling a small victory. On Earth, we've learned that intelligence takes many forms. Dogs may not build starships or write poetry, but they understand loyalty, courage, and compassion, qualities that we believe are essential for any civilization wishing to join the galactic community. The council speaker, who had been observing, silently finally spoke. This is unusual, Ambassador Kim. In 10,000 cycles, no species has brought a companion creature to council proceedings. However, if this relationship is as culturally significant as you claim, we will permit it, as a special accommodation to Earth's customs. Kim bowed slightly. Thank you, Speaker Toll. We appreciate the Council's understanding. The rest of the introductory session proceeded without incident, though Kim noticed Apollo receiving curious glances from many representatives. Some seemed intrigued, others disturbed. As they left the chamber hours later, Kim received an automated message on her neural interface, a notification that several factions had filed formal protests regarding the primitive beast in council chambers. They'll get used to you, Kim whispered to Apollo as they boarded the hover platform that would take them to the Earth Embassy section. The dog leaned against her leg, offering silent support. What Kim didn't share with Apollo was the deeper concern gnawing at her. The message had classified the protests under biological containment protocols rather than simple cultural objection. As their platform glided through the spectacular arrays of alien architecture, Kim gazed out at the glittering megastructures and spacecraft darting between them. Humanity had worked so hard to reach the stars, to prove themselves worthy of joining this ancient community of worlds. She scratched behind Apollo's ears, taking comfort in the familiar gesture. We've got our work cut out for us, boy, she murmured. But we'll show them what Earth is made of. Apollo's warm eyes met hers, filled with a trust and understanding that transcended words. Neither of them could know that in a few short weeks, that trust would be shattered in an act that would reveal humanity's other face to the galaxy. Not just as builders and dreamers, but as fierce protectors who would stop at nothing to avenge their own. The Grand Council chamber was completely silent as Ambassador Kim approached the central podium. The massive, curved ceiling displayed a real-time map of the galaxy, pinpricks of light representing the hundreds of civilizations united under the Galactic Accord. Today's session was critical. Earth was petitioning for expansion rights into the Orion Spur, a resource-rich region that would give humanity room to grow beyond their crowded solar system. Apollo padded quietly beside Kim, his golden fur gleaming under the chamber's soft blue lights. The dog's specialized diplomatic collar contained subtle sensors that amplified his already keen senses, allowing him to detect pheromones, energy fluctuations, and emotional states across dozens of alien species. The Council recognizes Ambassador Kim of Earth, announced Speaker Toll, the willowy blue-skinned alien who presided over the assembly. You may present your expansion proposal. Kim stepped onto the hovering platform that lifted her to eye level with the assembled representatives. She wore Earth's formal blue and gold uniform, the insignia of humanity emblazoned on her chest. Apollo sat attentively at the base of the platform, his training allowing him to remain perfectly still, despite the curious and sometimes hostile glances from the alien delegates. Fair-esteemed council members, Kim began, Earth thanks you for considering our petition. Our population has reached sustainable capacity in our home system. The Orion Spur offers uninhabited worlds suitable for human colonization without displacing any existing civilizations. The representative from the Varick Confederacy, the insectoid being who had objected to Apollo's presence in previous sessions, clicked his mandibles disapprovingly. The Orion Spur borders Zentari space. Humans are too unpredictable to be trusted. So close to our oldest allies, Kim maintained her diplomatic composure, despite the familiar criticism. With respect, our unpredictability has proven beneficial in our contributions to galactic medicine and arts. Apollo suddenly tensed beside the platform. His ears perked forward, and a low growl rumbled in his throat, a sound Kim had never heard him make during diplomatic functions. Apollo? Kim broke protocol to glance down at her companion. The dog's attention was fixed on the upper gallery, where visiting dignitaries observed council proceedings. Something was wrong. Apollo's training would never allow such behavior without serious cause. In that instant, Kim's neural link with Apollo flared with sensory data from the dog's enhanced perception. A faint shimmer in the air near the Zentari delegation. A scent that didn't belong. Movement where there should be none. Security. "Breach!" Kim shouted, abandoning all protocol. "Active camouflage technology in the upper gallery." Apollo launched himself toward the Zentari ambassador, a dignified elder whose silvery scales shimmered with age. The dog's powerful muscles carried him in a single bound over the heads of several startled delegates. Everything happened in seconds. A shimmer in the air materialized into a cloaked figure wielding an energy weapon. Apollo collided with the assassin mid-air just as the weapon discharged, sending a blast of energy into the ceiling instead of its intended target. The dog's momentum carried both him and the would-be killer crashing into a decorative crystal. Display security drones swarmed toward the commotion as council members scattered in panic. The Zentari ambassador stood frozen in shock, realizing how close they had come to assassination. "Restrain that animal." The harsh voice belonged to Security Chief Draz of the Varick Confederacy. "The beast has gone feral." "No," Kim shouted, leaping from the platform. "Apollo prevented an assassination." The security drones surrounded Apollo and the struggling assassin. The dog maintained his grip on the attacker's arm, preventing them from using their weapon again. Blood, both the assassin's and Apollo's, stained the polished floor. "Release the attacker to security, Apollo," Kim commanded. Obediently, Apollo backed away, allowing the drones to secure the assassin. The dog limped back toward Kim, visibly injured but alert. The room erupted in confused shouting as security forces surrounded the Zentari delegation. Security Chief Draz stepped forward, his compound eyes fixed on Apollo. That creature compromised council security by attacking without authorization. "That creature just saved the Zentari ambassador's life," Kim protested. "We detected no threat," Draz insisted. "Our systems would have—" "Your systems failed," Kim interrupted. "Apollo's enhanced senses detected what your technology missed." The chamber had descended into chaos. Several delegates were calling for investigation, others for adjournment. Through the confusion, Kim noticed several members of the Varick Confederacy and their allies gathering in urgent consultation. Speaker Toll raised her luminescent hands for silence. "Order! We will have order!" As the room quieted, Security Chief Draz approached the speaker's podium, his exoskeleton clicking against the floor. "The Earth Beast has demonstrated unpredictable behavior, regardless of intent. Council security protocols are clear regarding unauthorized intervention during official proceedings." "He saved a life," Kim objected. "Protocol 437B states that any unregistered security action constitutes a breach," Draz continued, ignoring her. "The creature represents an uncontrolled variable and must be neutralized until a full investigation can be conducted." Kim felt a chill at the word neutralized. "Apollo is an official Earth diplomatic envoy. You have no authority to—" "I invoke emergency security override," Draz announced formally. "As Chief of Council Security, I have full authority during confirmed security breaches." Apollo whimpered softly, sensing Kim's distress through their neural link. Blood dripped from a wound on his flank where the assassin had struck him. "Speaker Toll," Kim appealed desperately, "this is a gross violation of diplomatic protocol." Apollo acted to save a life. "We demand—" "I am sorry, Ambassador," the speaker replied, her voice heavy. "During security emergencies, the chief's authority supersedes diplomatic immunity. This is the law we all agreed to when joining the council." Kim watched in horror as Draz removed a small device from his uniform. "This will simply render the creature unconscious until—" "No!" Kim moved to shield Apollo, but two security drones held her back. "Protocol 437B authorized," Draz stated formally. "Neutralization commencing." The device in his hand emitted a high-pitched whine. Apollo's body went rigid, then began to convulse. "Stop!" Kim screamed, fighting against the drones. "You're killing him!" Across the chamber, the Zentari ambassador finally found his voice. "This is wrong. The Earth creature saved my life." But Draz continued the procedure. his compound eyes revealing nothing as Apollo collapsed to the ground, his body seizing uncontrollably. Kim broke free from the drones and rushed to Apollo's side, cradling his head as his eyes glazed over. Blood trickled from his mouth as the neutralization field disrupted his nervous system. "Apollo," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Stay with me, boy." The dog's eyes focused on her one last time, conveying a lifetime of loyalty in a single look. Then they went dark as his body gave a final shudder and fell still. The chamber had gone deathly quiet. Even Draz seemed shocked at the effect of the neutralization field on the Earth animal. It shouldn't have been lethal, merely incapacitating. Kim held Apollo's lifeless body, her diplomatic training shattered by grief and rage. She activated her emergency transmitter, opening a direct channel to Earth's High Command, looking directly into the holographic recorder with the entire Galactic Council as witness. Ambassador Kim spoke 3 words that would change the course of galactic history. They killed Apollo. The quantum-encrypted transmission from Ambassador Kim reached Earth in an instant, bypassing the standard diplomatic channels. Within minutes, footage of Apollo's death played on screens across every continent. A golden retriever, a symbol of humanity's oldest friendship, dying in an act of alien cruelty. The response was immediate and visceral. Outside the United Earth, government headquarters in New Geneva, a crowd gathered spontaneously. They brought photos of their own dogs, candles, flowers. What began as a handful of mourners swelled into thousands by nightfall. Similar gatherings erupted in Tokyo, Lagos, Buenos Aires, Sydney, cities that had spent centuries fighting each other, now united in shared outrage. Inside the UEG's Crisis Command Center, Admiral Park stood before the World Security Council, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays surrounding them. Unlike the sleek ceremonial uniforms worn for public appearances, she wore the matte black combat suit of Earth's actual military command. "They've crossed a line," said Director Lee, the normally stoic head of intelligence. "Not just killing a dog, though that alone would be enough, but the dismissal afterward. The Council has officially classified the incident as a regrettable misunderstanding arising from cultural differences." Admiral Park's expression didn't change, but those who knew her noticed the slight tightening around her eyes. "Show me the current deployment status," she ordered. The holographic display shifted to reveal the solar system, not the simplified version shared with the Galactic Council, but the actual state of Earth's defenses, hidden beneath the ice of Europa, disguised as mining operations in the asteroid belt, masquerading as scientific outposts on Mars and Venus. The Earth Defense Fleet revealed itself in glowing blue dots. Over 200 vessels, each carrying technology reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships, recovered over the past century. "We always suspected this day might come," Park said quietly. "That's why we kept the true extent of our capabilities, classified when we joined the Council. The Ghost Protocol is ready for your authorization," said Commander Han, the youngest person ever to reach the command staff. His family's dog had been a descendant of Apollo's littermate. The World Security Council members exchanged glances. They represented every region of Earth, former enemies now bound in common purpose. "This isn't just about a dog," said Councillor Rodriguez. "It's about respect, about boundaries, about making it clear that humanity won't be pushed around." "We understand that," Park replied. "But once we reveal our true capabilities, there's no going back. The other species will never trust us again." "They already don't trust us," Director Lee pointed out. "That's why they killed Apollo. They fear what they don't understand, and nothing is more incomprehensible to them than our bond with animals they consider lesser beings." Park nodded slowly, then placed her palm on the authentication scanner. "Ghost Protocol activated. All Earth diplomats are to be recalled immediately. Maintain communications blackout beyond standard diplomatic channels." Across the solar system, hidden shipyards hummed to life. On Callisto, massive hangar doors disguised as natural ice formations slid open for the first time. The EDF Vengeance, Earth's first true battle cruiser, powered up its engines. Unlike the diplomatic vessels the Council had seen, this ship bristled with weapons systems and sported a hull made of metamaterials that absorbed rather than reflected sensor scans. "Commander?" Han supervised the fleet's activation from the orbital command station above Mars. "All ships reporting ready, Admiral. Stealth systems operational. Quantum communication network established." "Good," Park said. "Now we wait." On Earth, the public narrative was carefully managed. Official statements expressed disappointment with the Council's handling of Apollo's death and announced a temporary withdrawal from galactic affairs for a period of reflection. Human diplomats returned from 100 worlds, their abrupt departure raising eyebrows among alien observers. The Galactic Council, believing they were dealing with a minor diplomatic tantrum from the cosmos's newest civilization, released patronizing statements about understanding Earth's emotional attachment to its animal companions and welcoming humanity back to the galactic community when they've processed their grief. Behind closed doors, however, some council members expressed concern. The Zentari ambassador, whose life Apollo had saved, spoke out during an emergency session. "We have gravely misjudged the humans," the elderly alien warned, silver scales glinting under the chamber lights. "Their bond with these dogs is not a weakness or primitive attachment as we assumed. It is fundamental to their identity." Security Chief Draz dismissed these concerns with a wave of his chitinous limb. "They have no significant military capabilities. Their technology is centuries behind ours. What can they possibly do?" 3 weeks passed. On Earth, memorial services for Apollo concluded. The public outrage seemed to cool. Council observers reported that humans appeared to be moving on, returning to their normal activities. Then, on what would have been precisely 1 lunar month after Apollo's death, Admiral Park gave the order. "Ghost Fleet, execute Operation Cerberus." In the darkness of space, the Earth Defense Fleet moved. Using propulsion technology the Council believed impossible for humans to possess, 12 battle groups jumped to strategic positions throughout Council space. Each vessel carried a payload more devastating than mere weapons: the truth. Within the hidden shipyards of Saturn's rings, Admiral Park boarded her flagship, the EDF Horizon. Unlike the utilitarian military vessels of the Galactic Council species, human ships blended function with a distinctive aesthetic: sleek curves alongside angular weapon mounts, interior spaces designed for comfort as well as efficiency, and memorial plaques honoring the dogs who had served alongside human explorers throughout history. As Park settled into the command chair, she glanced at the holographic image displayed beside her station. Apollo, standing alert and proud in his diplomatic collar. Below it, 3 simple words that had become humanity's rallying cry: "Remember the dog." "Signal the fleet," Park ordered, her voice steady. "The Galactic Council is about to learn that humanity has teeth." The Zentari homeworld's 3 moons glowed softly in the night sky as citizens went about their evening activities. In the planet's capital, government officials were concluding a routine security briefing when emergency alarms suddenly blared. Throughout the city, "Unidentified vessel detected in orbit," announced the automated defense system. "Unknown configuration, no transponder signal." General Ziv, the planet's defense commander, rushed to the central monitoring station. "How did they get past our outer sensor grid? Nothing can penetrate that network." On the massive display screen, a sleek, dark ship materialized seemingly from nowhere, hovering directly above the capital. Unlike the bulky, utilitarian designs favored by Council species, this vessel had an almost predatory elegance: smooth curves transitioning to sharp angles like a well-designed blade. "Magnify," ordered General Ziv. The image zoomed in, revealing an insignia on the hull, Earth's blue and gold emblem, but modified with the silhouette of a dog. Before anyone could react, every communication device on the planet, from government channels to personal entertainment systems, began broadcasting the same footage. Ambassador Kim cradling Apollo as the dog died, Security Chief Draz standing impassively nearby. The same scene played out simultaneously on 11 other Council worlds. On the Varick homeworld, 3 identical ships appeared above their defense headquarters. The aquatic Medusan Alliance found human vessels hovering beneath the waves of their oceanic cities. Even the remote mining colonies of the Turgid Collective discovered Earthships matching velocity with their orbital platforms. At the Galactic Council headquarters, Speaker Toll was awakened by frantic aides. "Impossible," she whispered as reports flooded in. "Their technology is primitive. We monitored their development closely." The council chamber, normally scheduled for routine matters that day, filled to capacity as emergency sessions were called. Representatives arrived in various states of distress, many having been transported directly from their beds. "This is an act of war," declared the Varick representative, mandibles clicking furiously. "The humans must be punished for this aggression, as if in response a new message began broadcasting throughout the chamber. Admiral Park's face appeared on every screen, her expression calm but resolute. "Greetings, Galactic Council. I am Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Fleet. For too long, you have underestimated humanity. Today that ends." The chamber erupted in shouts and accusations. Speaker Toll raised her hands for silence, but the panic was spreading too quickly. "3 standard weeks ago," Park continued, "your security chief murdered a diplomatic envoy from Earth, a being whose only crime was saving the life of your own representative. You dismissed this act as a regrettable misunderstanding. We are here to correct that misunderstanding." The screens shifted to show the Earth fleet now visible, in orbit around each council world. Not just the initial 12 ships, but dozens more decloaking in strategic positions. "How did they bypass our defenses?" demanded a Zentari military advisor. "It's technologically impossible." In the council chamber, Security Chief Draz rushed to the defense control station. "Launch interceptors. Target the human vessels." Across council space, defense platforms activated. Weapon systems locked onto the Earthships. Interceptors launched from planetary bases. Nothing happened. The weapons refused to fire. The interceptors shut down mid-flight, drifting harmlessly in space. Defense shields flickered and died. Admiral Park's image returned to the screens. "Your defense networks are temporarily under our control. This is not an invasion, merely a demonstration." Security Chief Draz frantically worked at the control panel. "Override! Override!" His compound eyes reflected the error messages flashing across the screen. "Since our first contact with your civilization," Park explained, "our systems have been quietly analyzing your networks. What you took for primitive AI assistance in our diplomatic corps were actually advanced infiltration programs, mapping your defenses, understanding your technologies. We call it the Trojan Protocol. After Apollo's death, those dormant systems were activated. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The humans had been several steps ahead the entire time. "We have 3 demands," Park continued. "First, formal acknowledgement of wrongdoing in the death of Apollo. Second, the immediate removal and punishment of those responsible, particularly Security Chief Draz. Third, approval of our original petition for expansion rights in the Orion Spur, with additional territories as compensation." The Varick representative recovered his composure first. "This is blackmail. We will never submit to such—" His words were cut short as the chamber's environmental systems suddenly adjusted, making the atmosphere uncomfortably dry for the moisture-dependent Varick. After a few seconds, the humidity returned to normal. "That was another demonstration," Park said calmly. "We control more than just your weapons. We suggest you consider our terms carefully." In orbit around the Zentari homeworld, Commander Han supervised operations from the bridge of the EDF Remembrance. Through the viewscreen, he watched the planet's defense platforms power down one by one. "Admiral," he reported via quantum link, "the Zentari military is attempting to manually override their defense grid. Should we intervene?" "Let them try," Park replied. "It will help make our point." On the Zentari surface, engineers worked frantically to disconnect defense systems from the network. When they finally managed to isolate a single orbital cannon, they immediately fired at the nearest Earth vessel. The beam of energy struck the ship's hull and disappeared, absorbed completely by the metamaterial coating. The Earth vessel didn't even move. In the council chamber, the representatives watched this exchange in stunned silence. "Your weapons cannot harm our ships," Park informed them. "And before you consider further hostilities, you should know that We've identified the faction responsible for the assassination attempt that Apollo prevented. Their communications have been intercepted and will be presented as evidence. Security Chief Draz backed away from the control panel, his exoskeleton clicking nervously against the floor. They've been monitoring everything, whispered Speaker. Terlatido, even our private channels. The screen shifted again, displaying internal council communications that revealed a conspiracy. Several council members, led by elements within the Varic Confederacy, had orchestrated the assassination attempt on the Zentari ambassador, a plot to blame humans and prevent their expansion. This was never just about a dog, Park said, as damning evidence filled the screens. Apollo revealed your conspiracy, so you eliminated him. Now we've revealed the truth about both of you and us. She paused, allowing the council to absorb the full implications of their situation. The humans they had dismissed as primitive newcomers had outmaneuvered them completely. You have 6 hours to consider our terms, Park concluded. We await your response. Remember Apollo. As her image faded, the council chamber descended into chaos. Accusations flew between former allies. The Varic representative found himself surrounded by security drones. Speaker Toll struggled to maintain order. As the foundations of the galactic power structure crumbled around her, above them all the Earthships maintained their silent vigil, a testament to humanity's hidden strength and their commitment to justice for one loyal dog who had given his life in service to peace. The Grand Council chamber had been completely redesigned in the 3 days since the human ultimatum, where, once the representatives sat in hierarchical rings based on their species' tenure in the galactic community, now they gathered around a circular table, a human diplomatic tradition signifying equal standing. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. Speaker Toll's normally luminescent skin had dulled with stress. She stood at the center of the chamber, flanked by representatives from the major council worlds. Security Chief Draz was noticeably absent, currently detained in a high-security facility, awaiting trial for his role in both Apollo's death and the assassination conspiracy. The human delegation has arrived, announced the automated system, its voice echoing through the silent chamber. The massive doors slid open. Ambassador Kim entered first, wearing not the diplomatic uniform of previous meetings, but a simple black outfit with a single golden pin shaped like a dog's paw. Behind her walked Admiral Park in full military regalia, the countless medals on her chest telling the story of a career the Council had never suspected. What truly shocked the assembled representatives, however, were the 2 creatures that followed. Them, golden retrievers, nearly identical to Apollo, walking with perfect discipline at the human's side. Those are more of the Earth beasts, whispered a Zentari delegate. Dogs, corrected his colleague. They call them dogs, and I suggest you show appropriate respect. Kim and Park took their places at the table. The dogs sat alertly beside them, eyes scanning the room with an intelligence that many council members were only now beginning to appreciate. Ambassador Kim, Admiral Park, Speaker Toll began formally. The Council has reviewed your demands and the evidence you've presented. We are prepared to offer our deepest. Before we begin, Kim interrupted, her voice steady, I'd like to introduce my companions. This is Artemis, she gestured to the golden retriever beside her, Apollo's sister, and beside Admiral Park is Horosian, from the same training program. The council representatives shifted uncomfortably, many clearly struggling with the concept of formally acknowledging the animals as part of the diplomatic party. We welcome them, Speaker Toll managed, bowing slightly in the dog's direction. Kim nodded, satisfied with this small victory. You've had time to consider our terms. What is the Council's response? Speaker Toll activated the central holographic display. The Council unanimously accepts responsibility for the unjust death of diplomatic envoy Apollo. Those responsible have been removed from their positions and await trial under our laws. The display shifted to show star charts of the Orion Spur and neighboring regions. We are prepared to grant Earth the expansion rights originally requested, plus these additional territories as compensation. Admiral Park studied the map carefully. These terms are acceptable. A visible wave of relief passed through the council representatives. Many had feared far harsher demands given the complete military advantage humans now held. However, Park continued, we have revised our third requirement. The tension in the room immediately returned. Speaker Toll's bioluminescent patches flickered, nervously. What do you demand? Ambassador Kim stepped forward. Not a demand, an offer. With a gesture, she activated her own data device. The holographic display transformed, showing technological schematics unlike anything the Council had seen before. These are medical technologies we've developed, originally for veterinary applications, healing bonds between different species at the cellular level. They can be adapted to benefit dozens of Council races. The Medusan representative leaned forward, their containment suit humming with increased activity. This could revolutionize cross-species medicine. That's just the beginning, Kim continued. The display shifted again, showing environmental restoration systems, energy production methods, and communication technologies far beyond what humans had previously shared. We're prepared to integrate these advancements into the galactic community with joint research and development programs on neutral stations throughout Council space. A murmur of surprise rippled through the chamber. This was not the punitive treaty they had expected. Why would you share these technologies now? Asked the Varick representative, his mandibles moving cautiously. You could demand far more for them. Admiral Park's expression remained unchanged. Because humanity's goal was never domination. We concealed our true capabilities out of caution, not aggression. Apollo's death forced our hand, but our fundamental aim remains peaceful coexistence. With one condition, Kim added. A memorial will be placed in this chamber, not just for Apollo, but as a reminder of what happens when fear and prejudice drive our actions. The next day, as the revised Galactic Accord was formally signed, construction began on the memorial. Rather than the simple statue initially proposed, it took shape as an interactive installation at the chamber's center. Holographic images showed the history of humans and dogs, ancient cave paintings of hunters and wolves, archaeological evidence of the first domesticated canines, through millennia of partnership to modern service animals, and finally to Apollo's diplomatic service. The final element was added just before the signing ceremony, a lifelike statue of a golden retriever, positioned protectively beside the central podium where speakers addressed the Council. At its base, inscribed in the languages of all Council species, were the words "In memory of Apollo, who gave his life in service of peace. May we honor all beings, great and small." As representatives from across the galaxy gathered for the historic signing, Admiral Park stood beside Ambassador Kim, watching alien dignitaries study the memorial with newfound respect. "Do you think they understand yet?" Park asked quietly. Kim watched as a young Zentari approached Artemis cautiously, then with guidance from its elder, gently offered its hand for the dog to sniff, the beginning of understanding between species. "They're learning," Kim replied. "The hard way, perhaps, but they're learning that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our capacity for connection," Park finished, "even with beings utterly different from ourselves." Above them, the galactic map glowed with newly designated human territories. Earthships now patrolled openly alongside Council vessels, their once hidden capabilities integrated into joint defense networks. Already, scientific exchanges were beginning on a dozen worlds, the benefits of cooperation becoming apparent to even the most reluctant Council members. As the ceremony concluded, Ambassador Kim knelt beside Artemis and Orion, scratching behind their ears, just as she had done countless times with Apollo. "We did it," she whispered to them. "He would be proud." The dogs seemed to understand, their intelligent eyes reflecting the stars visible through the chamber's crystal dome, stars that would now welcome human and canine explorers together, as they had been since humanity's earliest days. Throughout the galaxy, the story spread, how the death of one loyal dog had revealed the true nature of humanity, not just their hidden strength, but their fundamental values. How a species capable of such deep bonds with another could never be truly understood through the lens of galactic politics alone. And in countless alien homes across Council space, the first tentative questions began. What is a dog? And how Might we learn to understand them and the humans who love them better? The end.